Can start the interview?
Okay, let's begin.
Okay, Art, Mr. Art, the first question is, in your opinion, what are the main challenges that companies that already adopt the Lean system have today to deepen, to develop, to engage in even more in this management model?
Well, I think the challenge hasn't changed all that much. It's getting results and then sustaining results, furthering them and engaging people. And that really hasn't changed. I mean, Lean, you might be doing it in a pilot area or one small part of the business, one product line or one facility organization-wide. In all cases, it's initially figuring out how the approach works for your respective situation, implementing it, doing it, and then checking if you get results. And look, if you don't get results, something is wrong. You have to obtain a result for improvement by doing, Lean, however you're approaching it. It could be cost, it could be quality, safety, productivity, delivery. These are all viable categories, but you must get a result. And companies fail there in many instances. Even the ones that do succeed, then once they get that result, it tends to fall off and go backwards a little bit. So it's not just obtaining the result, it's sustaining it. And even when it sustains, engaging people, all levels, all parts of the company. And we don't have a good solution for this in most companies I visit, but it's one of the themes in my upcoming book, The 4 Types of Problems. Because through the 4 types, I do believe we can do a better job of obtaining a result, sustaining it, and also gaining all parts of the organization.
Thank you. The 2 questions. The second question. Excuse me. The new digital technologies and the bureaucracy can difficult to implement a Lean system in the companies because many companies like to bureaucracy like to manipulation numbers, implement digital technology through remote control, and this Lean system I think is opposite many things that. What do you think about that, please?
Well, I think here's the way I think I understand the question. It's about the proper usage of technology and data systems and software in Lean and how it would work most effectively with Lean. And they're not opposite. I think you have to be careful with that. There's a romantic view of Lean because it started, in many of the old examples from the 1950s and 60s, it's pencil and paper, or very basic rudimentary forms, standardized work charts that you wrote by hand, and manual Kanban systems. And it began that way, and there's no denying that. And frankly, many times for pilot situations, it's easiest to begin that way. But you look at what Toyota does today, and it's pretty impressive. Like more electronic systems for process control. They did a nice job of integrating technology with the production system. That's a theme. That is an important theme. So if you think, manpower, machines, material, methods, management system, data technology, that all has to be integrated properly to work. What often happens though is you get companies that go, they just want to work on the technology, or they just want to remotely manage things from far away, and that doesn't work very well. When people are involved, there does have to be a physical connection with the process. You can't just manage people by a computer screen from 1,000 miles away. Okay, that's not that part of it's not Lean. That's not respect for people. That's not engaging the workforce. There is a part of this, just like sports, that has to be one-on-one or team-based, and we're together. There are other parts of it though. You can collect data and study it and manage the process and improve. So and-on is an example of that. Let me use and-on systems as an example. A problem happens, I pull the cord, I need my supervisor to come and help me deal with this problem. That is a person-to-person problem. But Toyota gets every year better and better about collecting data about the nature of the electronic signals being exchanged for that and-on pull, recording the data of what occurred, where it occurred, why it occurred, how much it occurs, and studying that data in a big attempt, a studious attempt to decrease the number of certain types of and-on cord pulls. So they're not in conflict, but you have to integrate the two properly.
Thank you. Third, Recently, directors of Lean Institute Brazil visited Toyota main factory in Japan. They said how much Toyota is light years ahead, as Toyota is far superior than most companies that are implementing the Lean system. Why do most companies, or most of them, fail to be a Toyota? Why can not they reach Toyota managing level?
Okay. So the question, as I understand it, is Toyota is a very successful company, and at this level, and most companies, at a lower level, trying lean or at a lower level, and there's multiple reasons why, to be honest. One, Toyota kind of invented this game and started it a long time ago. You can argue 100 years ago, back to the family history and the loom business. But even the automotive industry goes back to 1937 for Toyota, and the lean efforts go back to late 40s, early 50s, depending upon how you want to start it. So one, quite frankly, they've just been at it for longer than anybody else and focusing more on it. There is another way of looking at it, though, and I got to admit that it's an exceptional company in terms of results. And let's use a sports analogy. In basketball, there's Michael Jordan, there's LeBron James. There are outstanding players, and we will never be them. I can train as hard as I want. I'll never be, the level of a great athlete. But I can still improve, and that's what I want you to think about. You're not going to be necessarily Toyota, and that shouldn't be your goal to be somebody else. You want to study your situation and what's the best that I can be. What's the best that my organization can be. Not copy Toyota or mimic Toyota's success. They're different company, different situation, different culture, different influences, different things going on. Not to mention the decades and decades of work behind it. Look more about your own situation. Say, well, the question is, how can I be better? How can my organization, my team be better? And not worry so much about other companies. Don't compare yourself to Toyota. Same way, I can't compare myself to Michael Jordan or LeBron James. If I wanted to play basketball, how can I be better next year? How can I be better, stronger, faster, etc.? That's the way you should look at this.
Okay. Can I do two questions more? Two questions?
Okay, we can try.
About A3. You have a
A3
book
thinking,
about
yes.
A3? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Recently, I visited a company here in Brazil that is already at a good level of Lean system implementation. And I asked them about the A3. They told me that A3 is already part of their day life, but that many have worked still see the A3 as a punishment, as an overwork. They still hear a phrase like, oh, do I have to do another A3 again? Mm-hmm. But I just did an A3, boredom. Why do you think this happens?
So I think the question deals with about A3 reports and problem solving, and some people naturally do them and think it's a part of their regular work. Other people see it as a burden, right? Some kind of punishment, or why do I have to write a report? And there's a couple reasons why, and this is partly why John Shook and I decided we need this book, the 4 types of problems and understanding. Not everything needs an A3. Sometimes the employee complaining is right. Why are you making me write a report? If the situation warrants it in Toyota, we will write something like an A3 document, and also we do it for employee development. But on the flip side, from a pure waste avoidance point of view, why write the A3? If you can solve the problem and develop the person without the A3, you have to think about the benefits of that as well. And that's typically what I call a type 1 problem. That I think we have a lot of type 1 problems in organizations. We need to get better, faster, and more effective at problem solving, but it should not involve an A3 or a big Six Sigma project. It's about the skill of solving those smaller problems more quickly, more effectively, with minimal documentation. Okay? But there are some problems where it won't work. You need to slow down. You need to outline your thinking and do the deeper dive, and that's when A3s typically are required. There's another angle, a way of looking at this, and I'll talk about it in my afternoon session, is I can do a personality evaluation called the Kolb Learning Preferences, K-O-L-B. And based upon the Kolb learning preference, I can predict whether you're going to write an A3 or not. In fact, I can predict how you will approach problem solving. And there are 4 possible directions you can go based upon the quadrants of this survey. And some of those quadrants naturally are going to want or see the benefits in A3, and some of them won't. It's just the way they think and interact with problem solving. So, part of this is personality and learning preference based as well.
Okay, the last question.
Okay.
About Kaizen. You have a book about Kaizen.
Yes.
Okay? So many companies, I perceive, spend years and years only doing Kaizens. Recently, I visited one of those Brazilian companies who was doing Kaizens for 10 consecutive years. Can this create a company dependence on Kaizen, inhibit or the company not develop other things, other friends, just doing Kaizen,
Yes.
Kaizen and System Lean is the same thing?
So question deals with Kaizen and Kaizen events and companies doing those year after year and becoming too addicted to that style of implementation. And this is again another reason why John and I wrote this book about the 4 types of problems. Because I think you have to have approaches for what I call type 1, type 2, type 3, and type 4. Kaizen events should be a type 3 for the most part. And it's a vehicle that honestly, in Japan, that's what it was developed for, that the type 3s were to solve something particularly to an area and take it to a higher level of performance. But historically, they already had what I'm calling now type 1 and type 2 approaches already there as a base. So if you do Kaizen events and you have that type 1, type 2 system underneath it, that's fine, and they'll get you results and tend to stick better. But in North America, and it sounds like some of what you observe here, is companies want to try the type 3 approach. They like the method of tying the type 3 and solve everything that way. That can be a problem. It works for many situations and many circumstances, but that's not a great way to solve the daily problems or the weekly problems or the ongoing things that need special systems developed to handle those. You need different, what I call a vehicle or style of interaction to get at those problems. So in that sense, I'm saying 4, again, your situation might vary. Having 4 ways to approach problems and implementation in Lean is healthier than just the one way of doing a weekly Kaizen event or monthly Kaizen event as a style.
Okay. Mr. Art, this year is birthday of the Lean to Brazil. 20 years in Brazil. Can you say a message about that?
Okay. Well, again, congratulations. This is the 20th year of doing Lean in Brazil, at least from the Institute point of view. Many companies, organizations have been doing it longer than that, of course. But this is a nice milestone. It reflects the movement is going broader and getting more acceptance. The publications we have, the presentations we have at the summit every year get better, and that reflects something a very positive trend. So I encourage you to continue on the journey you have here. I think it's very successful in many regards. I encourage you to go farther with it. Think about it, as the journey on a path that's going to go on forever, for that matter. The next generation has to pick up the torch at some point. But I want you to keep going, sustain the gains that you made, but also think about what's the next step. How do you go further with it?
And can we say that the Lean Summit in Brazil today is the biggest of the world?
Yeah, I think it is. 1,250, I heard, for this. Congratulations, you set a record for all the LEI summits. That's a big number. I think it is the biggest in the world from what I understand. So, size is one thing. Quantity is great, but I also, let's make it the best in terms of customer service quality and value add.
What do you think Brazil is so interesting in Lean? We have many problems with that?
Yeah, we all have problems. And, problems are an opportunity, right? So Lean is a great vehicle to think about the problems, challenges, and opportunities we face. And, there's a lot of great talent here in Brazil as well. So I think if you combine the problems, opportunities, and challenge with the talent, you have a great opportunity here to do tremendous things.
Thank you very much for the interview.
All right, you're welcome.